Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be going over all my drugstore foundations and breaking down for you my thoughts on what is the best and what is the worst based on your skin type, preferences, coverage. This is a continuation from my palettes video. I'm going to go over every category eventually. I totally forgot to mention this last time, so just real quickly, I'm just trying to give you guys some honest thoughts on drugstore. And the main reason I wanted to do this is because many beauty gurus cover drugstore but seem to lack a, I don't know, balanced perspective on how much it actually costs. That whole idea of, you know, it's just $10 so it doesn't really matter, just buy it. I don't agree with that. I think that, you know, $10 is a lot of money for some people, so it's really important to actually understand who products are for. So I'm going to start with foundation, and I do currently have these arranged by coverage. So these are my lighter coverage and those are more full coverage. I'm just going to go through and give you my kind of quick thoughts on these. Starting with the Neutrogena Hydro Boost Hydrating Tint. This is such a great product if you like tints. If you do not want full coverage, if you just want something to make your skin look better and more even, but not, if you're not worried about covering any scars or acne, this can be such a perfect product for you. It does contain hyaluronic acid, so it gives you a plumping effect. It's $14.99, so it's not too expensive. The only thing with this is that the shade range is limited, but because it's a tint, it doesn't matter as much. It certainly is very sheer. So I do own this in both 10 and 20. I think that 10 is a little bit of a better match for me, ironically, than 20 is, because 20 is cooler toned, but again, I could pull off both of them. I love them. It's products like this that have kept me from buying anything from Glossier. I respect the Glossier idea. I get it. Raw Paint has a whole video talking about how we've already had Glossier products on the market for a long time, and you can get them at the drugstore if you want. So again, you know, for you no makeup wearers, this is all you need, and it's a great product for $15. A couple more light coverage foundations. This is Ulta Beauty's HD Soft Focus Liquid Foundation. This is one of the sheerest foundations that I've ever come across. Not quite to the tint level, but definitely a barely there foundation. I love Ulta's products because this light to medium warm is a perfect match for my NC20 skin. This is a really nice product. It is $14, but it's always on sale. You should never pay more than $7 for, you should never pay more than 50% off for Ulta's products. So again, this is another option for people who really like a sheer, barely there coverage. I did see somebody build this up with like 5 or 6 pumps. Don't do that. If you want medium coverage, buy the other products that I'll talk about later. This is for people who want 1 to 2 pumps of a very, very light coverage. I also have the Physicians Formula Arganwear BB Cream. This one is $14.95. There's certainly pros and cons with this. It's kind of thicker than I expected it to be with it being a BB cream. But there's certainly a pro in the fact that this is a mineral sunscreen base, whereas a lot of these are chemical sunscreens. It's also going to be for dry skin and not oily skin because it does contain argan oil. But then this light medium shade is so dark on my skin. Here, I'll pump this one out for you so you can see. That's light to medium, so I mean, I can only pull this off when I'm very tan. So yeah, I think that this is a much more limiting product than I expected it to be, but if it works for you, then it's a nice product. Let's move into the light medium coverage foundations. Let me move this one through pretty quickly. This is No. 7's Airbrush Away Foundation. It's a $17.99 foundation, a little bit more pricey in this brand here. I don't mind this foundation, but airbrush away, does this mean that it goes away in 2 hours? Because that's my experience. That said, if you want a foundation that looks stunning for about 2 hours, maybe if you have a photo shoot or something like that, it's great. It's gorgeous, but I don't think it's going to be worth it for the majority of people. I'm going to talk about these 3 together because I think they're very related. We have the Flower Light Illusion Foundation, which is $13.99. The Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation, which is $12.99, and then L'Oreal's Infallible Pro Glow, which is $12.99 as well. All of these have SPF to them, but they all do contain a chemical form of sunscreen, which if you have a sensitivity to it, then you already know that can irritate your skin over time. So that's why I haven't used a ton of any of these, even though I quite like the way they sit on the skin. They're all truly a light to medium coverage, and they all last a decent amount of time, with this one being the longest wearing. So I guess I'll focus on this one first. Infallible Pro Glow is really, really pretty on dry skin, and it does last all day. The problem with it is it contains alcohol, and I think that's the reason that it stays so well on the skin. It's a bit of a limited shade range, but this is a really good match for my skin. Just also, again, you know, octinoxate chemical sunscreen. So just, you know, if it works for you, I envy you, because you won't have the white cast that mineral sunscreens have. I think Healthy Foundation is my top recommendation from this category. This is a beautiful foundation for dry skin. It has a ton of skincare-like ingredients, including a retinol palmitate, some oils. Really, really nice on, wears beautifully, just a great foundation. $12.99 is not overpriced for this at all, in my opinion. The only thing about it that I'm a little iffy on is this weird system. I don't like this. I don't know if too many people do like that. It's kind of strange. But it is still a very beautiful foundation. And then the Light Illusion, I like this foundation, but I'm not quite in love with it. I do think that it breaks up at around maybe 6 hours or so of wear, maybe a little longer. It's really pretty if you have dry skin, and I really think it is made for dry skin, but there's something about this that makes it just a tad bit short of the Healthy Foundation to me. Still good though. Here's a couple more in the light medium, maybe even more medium coverage for dry skin foundation range. Let's start with this one. This is $7.99. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Dewy and Smooth. I have the same issue with the chemical sunscreen with both of these. What is it with the dry skin foundations and chemical sunscreens? Why? Why? It's actually not my favorite. I have had this one I've had this one since I've been very tan, clearly. So I don't really reach for this all that often, even though I thought I would, but again, that could just be because of the chemical sunscreen. The Wet n Wild Mega Cushion Foundation, this is actually beautiful on the skin, considering it's only $8.99. That's a good price, but because it's a cushion foundation, it is only 0.52 ounces, so it's half the size of a standard foundation. So I guess I'll compare that to the Photo Focus Foundation while we're here. These are $5.99 each, which is a fantastic price. Goodness. I do have to kind of mix together both soft ivory and soft beige to get my color, but for $5.99 I don't care. The only problem with this is that it does have the strongest scent you've ever smelled. It smells like paint. Ugh. And it's really a shame because it is really nice on the skin. It is really pretty. I don't find that it sinks into lines at all. It wears very nicely, but that smell is a lot. It's a lot. I'm going to try to fly through these. This is the Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse. I'm not sure this is still available, which is why I don't want to talk too much about it. But, you know, this is not bad. It is a nice product. The only thing I have to say about it is that it's such a, I don't want to say dated, but I guess it is kind of a dated delivery system. It's this very whipped texture. I kind of bought a shade that's a little deep for me, so I haven't used too much of it. But it is a very whipped texture. It's something that is very different from what we are gravitating towards these days, which I'll talk about later. But it is nice. And then the Revlon Photo Ready Insta Filter. This is $17.99. I would not recommend this. Kind of for anybody, just because this delivery system is a gimmick. Quite frankly, it is. Revlon is trying so hard to find themselves. This whole Insta filter, you know, clearly a grab towards the social media generation, and it's just like it's just not working all that well in spite of their efforts. They came out with a good foundation, but this silly system, I guess you could cut this off, but then why would you buy this when you could spend, you know, $8 for another good foundation? There's no reason. So I just pass on that. I think it's too expensive for this weird system that they have. I'm going to talk about these two together because I find them both to be what I'm going to call surprisingly high coverage. Let me talk about the Vitalist Healthy Elixir first, because this was such a hyped foundation for a while. This is $11.99, and it's, I think that this is for normal skin. I think that's the reason why this became so popular, because I frankly don't love it. I find it to be, again, shockingly high in coverage, so I spread one pump all over my face, and I'm like, wow, this is really thick. It's just a little bit too much for me, and it's very heavily scented. Very, very scented. Oh, I should have mentioned, this also is scented. I think that if it wasn't, it would probably smell like Photo Focus. So these two are some of the most scented products in this video. So I found that this can kind of break me out, and I obviously don't love that. So I don't know. For me, this one did not live up to the hype. So that was a bit of a shame. Neither did the Flawless Finish foundation though. This one is $6, so this one is dirt cheap as well. But it's the same kind of texture to me as that CoverGirl, where it gets too thick too quickly. Again, I'm sure there's an audience for that. You know, it's really hard to separate your opinion and preferences when you're making these kinds of videos. So for me, this was just getting a little too thick. And then these are my two most full coverage foundations in the video, and ironically, I love them both. Ironically, because I said I just didn't like the last two. So this is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. I love this, but I gotta make a disclaimer. I always drop argan oil into these bottles the second I get them, and it makes this beautiful everything I want in one foundation product. And this is $7.99. This is a very solid foundation. I think it's going to be a classic for years to come. But to me, this is even better. This is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. It is $10.99. This is one of my new favorites, and I never expected to love a full coverage foundation, but I am madly in love with this. First off, we've got a perfect match here. 30 Sand Beige, beautiful for NC20 skin. It doesn't transfer, it lasts all day, it doesn't sink into fine lines. A lot of people call this a dupe for Fenty. While I can't say that it's as good as Fenty's shade range, I actually like the way it wears on my dry skin more than I like the way Fenty wears. See, I think we're gonna have an upcoming generation of this type of a serum finish. So see how this is a very, very light texture? I think that's the future for foundations. I think people no longer want this really whipped type of texture, or even, you know, the older mousse type of texture. I think we're moving towards that serum type of product. My suspicion with that is I think that it used to be harder to use this type of product because you needed the right tools, and now we have access to the right tools. So I think this is, quite frankly, my new favorite. It's my new favorite. I wanted to mention these foundation sticks really quickly. As a general rule, if you're trying to stretch your money, don't buy these because there's not that much product in them. What do we have here? 0.32 ounces, 0.21 ounces, and then 0.3 ounces. So, you know, these are not really the best way to spend your money, but they are very fast, and that's the reason why you might want a foundation stick. You just swipe it, blend it, and go. It's kind of interesting that these are a little bit more for normal skin, because I think that foundation sticks in the past used to be more for normal to oily skin. Ulta Beauty's moisturizing foundation stick is actually a really nice option for dry skin. It does retail for $14, but of course, again, it's currently on sale for $7. This is probably my favorite, again, because I have such a good shade match, and because it's so hydrating on the skin. I absolutely love this product. Revolutions is another good option. This is the Fast Base Foundation Stick for $9. My only problem with Revolution products in general when it comes to their foundation, powders, etc., is that they seem to lean a little cool toned. But if you do find a good match, this is also a pretty good foundation stick. Slightly less hydrating than the Ulta one, but again, possibly a better option for more normal oily skin. I think that L'Oreal's is actually the most well-rounded here. This is $12.99. It contains your sunscreen as well. It just really wears nicely. So these are my concealers. I guess I just want to say real quickly that if you have a lot of acne, you might want to consider a green concealer before you go in with other products. The green will cancel out redness. Now, I don't have a lot of concealers. If you watch my channel, you already know I'm not that big on concealer personally. I don't like to rely too much on it, but I do want to talk about some of my favorites. The Maybelline Instant Age Rewind is one of my favorites. This is $10. The shade Fair has a little bit of a pink, well, it is a cool undertone. So this helps me to cancel out any blue under my eyes. This is such a good under eye concealer. If you like a more sheer coverage, you're not covering too much, you just want that nice finish, not anything that's gonna sink too much into the fine lines. This to me is every bit as good as a lot of high-end products out there. I didn't actually like the Fit Me all that much. It's just a little bit sheer in my opinion. I think that if you're trying to cover acne, this is not the best. It may be better for more dark circles under the eyes, but I didn't buy the right shade for that. So I'm gonna guess this is more of an under eye product. Oh, I wanted to mention these Kiko ones real quickly. I don't think these are available, but I did want to say, sometimes it's hard to find a concealer that is light enough. I was shocked when I got this and saw how light it was. So if you are on the more pale end of the spectrum, you might want to consider the Kiko brand. Again, that's practically white. I was shocked to see this concealer. And then I have the Revolution Conceal and Define and the Catrice Liquid Camouflage. I love the liquid camouflage. This is $6, and this is one of my favorite products to conceal spots, spot concealing. This is so good for that, and it's a great shade match. What do I have? 20 beige, I think? Yes. How did I remember that? 20 light beige. Really, really good coverage. To me, it would probably be cakey under the eyes, but again, when I'm buying concealers, I differentiate the under eye circles, under eye concealers, and spot concealers. This $7 one from Revolution has such a reputation as being a Shape Tape dupe, but again, you know what, here, let me show you my problem with Revolution products. That's supposed to be their light warm. Here is the Catrice 020. You see how much more warm toned this Catrice one is? Again, I just find that Makeup Revolution just does not go warm enough for me. So again, for me, I personally prefer the Catrice. I wanted to end this video by talking about a couple powders. Now, in general, I've been really cautious with drugstore powders because they can be less finely milled, which means you won't get as good of a finish to your entire complexion look if you have dry skin in particular. But I have still found a couple that are pretty good, so I do want to cover those. I quickly want to mention powder foundations are always an option if you have more oily skin. We don't talk about powder foundations that much anymore, but I don't know why. It's still a good option. I don't think this particular one is still available, but consider powder options if you're not finding something mattifying enough for your skin. Loose powders are really having their moment. I don't think you're stuck with loose powders per se, but I do think that that's going to be your best option if you have more dry skin. This number 7 one is $12.99, and it's probably the most finely milled of the three and the easiest to work with. It's a good product, but it does lean pretty darn cool toned. But again, it's a very fine powder, so I do like this one quite a bit. Revolution's Luxury Baking Powder is another option. It is only $8. A lot of people dislike the packaging, but I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I have the shade Lace. I'd actually have to say it does work for me, even though, again, it's a little more neutral, but it works. Ulta Beauty's Mineral Setting Powder is another good option, although this is, I believe this is translucent. Hold on. Yes, this one says it's translucent, but it's definitely a little more of a dark translucent, if you know what I mean by that. That one's probably the best color match for me. My only problem with this is, as you can see, there's not enough sifting holes in this product, so it can be a bit of a pain to work with. I think I need to try to gouge those out more or something. But this is $14, currently on sale for $7. I think it's actually a good powder. The Catrice Prime and Fine Mattifying Powder, this is pretty popular. This is $7.50. My problem with this is that it is not true transparent, in my opinion. This can go way too tinted on me, and it's definitely light. So this may be a good option if you have more fair skin than I do. I really like the Rimmel Stay Matte powder, this classic. Oh, this classic. It's around $5, $6. It is a pressed powder. Really, really good match. I don't think I have this in transparent, though. I have this in buff beige. Great product that I've returned to for years. Here's another one of my favorites. This is the Maybelline Better Skin Transforming Powder. This has salicylic acid in it. This can be a little bit more tinted. However, I use this on the parts of my face where I get breakouts, and this really helps me to fight them. Since salicylic acid is anti-acne, this is just, it's basically holy grail status for me. I just dab it everywhere that I get hormonal acne, and it really, really helps me to take my makeup off at the end of the day and not have breakouts. I thought I'd throw this in here, the Winky Lux Diamond Complexion Powder, just since I saw Tati talk about it in her drugstore favorites. It's $20 though, so I don't really know if that counts as drugstore. And it's, in my opinion, I think this is really quite shimmery. So I would never set my face with this. I should not say that. I certainly tried it and I did not like the look. I'm gonna have to say that I think in order to really love this product, you have to love extreme glowy skin, since it's approaching highlighter, if you know what I mean. Here's two really, really cheap products. This is the Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder. This is only $5. I don't think you necessarily need a banana powder, but it does give you a little bit of a yellow color, and it's nice for under the eyes. But you guys remember when Mario, Kim Kardashian's makeup artist, admitted that he wasn't actually using banana powder under her eyes? They never even used it. It sure did make banana powder blow up, though. But anyway, you never need to spend more than $5 on banana powder. This'll do it. You need so little. This is e.l.f.'s Prime and Stay Finishing Powder. It is only $2. You don't get a lot of product, though. It's only 0.17 ounces. This is the kind of product that I would buy again if I, like, lost my makeup and just needed something to tide me over. It's okay. It's a finishing powder, so it gives you a really, really, really light amount of powder when you use it, but you know, that could be nice for dry skin. This is Translucent Fair Light. It is pretty darn light in my opinion, at least light enough for my skin. Yeah, not something that I would highly recommend, but something I would say if you need something in a pinch, pick it up. Alright guys, so that's all my drugstore foundation, concealers, and powders. I hope I helped to clear things up about how these products are past the hype. Leave me a comment below if you have tried a product that you think I left out of this video, because again, this is just products that I have purchased and tried myself, so it's certainly not everything out there. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.